Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Tuesday, May 27th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Pomp and pageantry are on full display in the capital as the King and Queen make their way through the city, visiting various landmarks during their whirlwind trip to the capital. And while King Charles is no stranger to the country or this city, this is the first time he is setting foot on Canadian soil as the monarch, and the excitement is palpable. Hundreds of people gathering at Lansdowne Park this afternoon. King Charles and Queen Camilla's first of two public appearances today. The monarch surrounded by a sea of people as they shook hands with those in the crowd. Of course, their visit comes at a time when many are feeling patriotic amid Donald Trump's threats to Canada's sovereignty. We have full coverage tonight of the royal visit, including their initial arrival at the Ottawa airport, the visit to Lansdowne Park and Rideau Hall, and the preparations underway at the RCMP musical ride stables for tomorrow's procession down Wellington Street. We begin with CTV's Stephane Keys, who is live on Wellington Street for us tonight. Steph.
Patricia, whirlwind trip are the words of the day. The King and Queen here in Canada over the course of 2 days, zipping around the city, but really here for just 24 hours. They touched down at the Ottawa airport around 1:17 this afternoon, but before the plane even landed from the sky, there was excitement in the air. Pomp and pageantry are words also being used today. The King and Queen were greeted by Prime Minister Mark Carney, Governor General Mary Simon, Ontario's Lieutenant Governor, as well as 3 Indigenous leaders. We also know that amongst the VIP were high-ranking military officials, and amongst them, an exciting moment for students from Stittsville and Gatineau. A special moment for them that we will definitely probably not soon forget, and perhaps have stories to tell their future children and grandchildren. Queen Camilla was given a bouquet of flowers, red and white, certainly another nod to Canada's sovereignty and our nation's flag. And after that, they were off to Lansdowne. Lansdowne Park may have seen the biggest crowds today. That's where the public, if you weren't given a formal invitation to some other moments of the day, were there ready to greet them. It was also a place where you could see Canada's diversity on full display, where the King and Queen could not only see, hear, but also taste the diversity of the country. In true Canadian fashion, a vendor of maple syrup handed them a sweet treat. After that, it was off to Rideau Hall. The King and Queen engaging in royal tradition of a tree planting ceremony in front of an audience. This has happened time and time again when royals tend to visit the nation's capital, and then they met privately with the Governor General, their own representative to Canada, and then after that, they were definitely excited for the rest of the day.
A small memorial with flowers and the remains of a tree on 142nd Street near 90 Avenue. Early Saturday morning, a 36-year-old man was driving a BMW southbound. Police say he lost control and was declared dead at the scene.
The entire car just totaled.
A neighbor says she heard a loud bang, ran outside and saw this, scattered debris across the street.
Honestly, a ticket should be the least of your worries. Your own life and those of others that might impact should worry you.
The city saw 2 other fatal collisions in less than 2 days. Friday morning, a 16-year-old boy driving an SUV northbound on 97th Street hit a car turning left. The driver of the car died of his injuries in hospital.
We all know that with summer weather, speeds have a tendency to go up. Motorcycles come out, and the weekend traffic gets busier.
Saturday night, a motorcyclist drove in oncoming traffic on Winterburn Road trying to pass a car. Police say as he was passing, that car turned. The motorcyclist hit the side of the car and was sent into the ditch.
In each, there was no reason or need for the speed that caused such a tragic loss of life.
They are arguably truly preventable by drivers choosing not to engage in high-risk behavior.
Police say fatal collisions have more than doubled since this time last year, from 5 to 13. They say speed is a factor in more than half of the fatal crashes this year. Councillor Michael Jan says speeding is a concern for Edmontonians.
My email were blowing up on the weekend with complaints about street racing and the noisy vehicles, and people have said it's a matter of time until someone gets killed, and somebody did. Something police say never gets any easier.
The trauma that traffic fatalities cause to families, emergency responders, the community, and survivors of these collisions cannot be understated.
If you see someone speeding, police encourage you to report them. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
It was back to school for hundreds of Walkerton students following a tragedy that has shaken not only the students and teachers, but the entire community.
Right now, I think it's going to be a struggle.
Teacher Matt Eckert and students Olivia Rourke, Rowan McLeod, Cadence Ford, and Danica Baker were killed while traveling on their way home to Walkerton from a softball tournament in Dorchester last Friday, when the SUV they were in collided with a transport truck north of London.
Not to be dramatic, but it's tough. You feel it in the community. You feel it as a parent. I'm a dad, right? And you just feel for everybody. You feel for the families. You feel for the teachers. I have friends that are teachers. They're struggling as well.
A candlelight vigil held outside the school on Sunday night saw more than 1,000 people stand in solidarity with the families involved.
My husband and I chose this town 10 years ago when we moved out of the city, and we wanted to be in a town where community and family go hand in hand, and we got that in Walkerton.
A flower memorial outside the school continues to grow as strangers, close friends, even fellow students show their sorrow and support in the wake of such an unexpected tragedy.
I just thought it'd be nice to bring flowers for them because I want to show that I support them and I truly care.
Now the effects of this are far-reaching, well beyond Walkerton. Two of the girls that passed away were members of a baseball team in Tara. That community is also coming together tonight for counseling and discussion. And there's also a GoFundMe page that some community members have set up to try and support the families during this time.
It impacts massively, not only with the school, but the community, families, and so on. It's tough. It's really, really tough.
At the school today, a lot of support was made available as well. Social workers and grief counselors were on site, and they'll be there as long as students and teachers need it, says the school board.
I know things will look very different at least in the mind's eye of students and staff as they return this week, as we all kind of come to terms with the initial shock.
I think with the school community and all of Walkerton coming together, I think it'll be a lot better to get through.
In Walkerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
The resort village of Candle Lake reissued its pre-evacuation alert on Sunday due to high winds and dry conditions.
The resort community, our summer is short, so I think it's hard on the businesses. As far as the residents, I think many of them have taken this second alert seriously. They are packed, they are watching and ready to go.
Mayor Colleen Lavoie says the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency relocated their fire crews to the village last night and that the community has been preparing meals for the firefighters.
The helicopters are fueling up here at the airstrip, and the firefighters are here to rest overnight, and many of them stayed in the campground. Many slept in their trucks.
As of Monday morning, the Public Safety Agency said the Shoe wildfire by Lower Fishing Lake was about 30,000 hectares in size, and the Camp Fire north of Snowdon is now 50,000 hectares.
They're joined now, and my understanding is they're at least 4 times the size of the city of Saskatoon.
An evacuation for the resort subdivision of Wayland Bay was called last night due to extreme safety threats from wildfires. One evacuee told CTV they could see flames as they were leaving. The state of local emergency is in place until June 1st. At Little Bear Lake, crews are working to prevent structure damage by attaching sprinklers to the houses, digging fire breaks, and collecting propane tanks. Pelican Narrows issued a partial evacuation notice yesterday, which said the Pelican 2 wildfire was within 1 kilometer of the village. The notice alerted evacuees to head to Prince Albert. Late Monday afternoon, Highway 3 south of Prince Albert had to be closed as wildfires reduced visibility. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
They paid off their mortgage, cleared every last credit card. Diane and Michael Betts thought they'd stepped into retirement with financial freedom, but now they're out $30,000.
Just happened to go in on my laptop and check my bank account, and I noticed that were 2 transactions that I had not done.
One was a $500 payment to their MasterCard. The other, a $30,000 withdrawal from their line of credit.
We called the bank, our bank, Manulife Bank, and they said that we had called in the day before with all our information, and I think what they were trying to suggest was that they couldn't get in because they forgot their password, but they had all of my information.
The Betts say they went as far as checking their devices for malware or viruses and found nothing.
We're doing anything online to generate the opportunity for someone to get it. We don't give our information. We're pretty private people to start with.
But then came the letter. Nova Scotia Power confirmed a cybersecurity breach. The family says from there it all started to make sense.
Because there's no other way anybody could get in and have all that information to be able to convince one of the customer service reps at Manulife that it was us.
Since then, the family has been making calls to their bank, the police, and Nova Scotia Power.
Through Identity, please contact them if you have any technical support, which I did, and he gave me the outage number for Nova Scotia Power. And I said to him, you realize that's the outage line number. Like, I can't get anybody there.
Halifax police told CTV News the investigation is still in its early stages. As of now, they don't have evidence linking the fraud to the utilities cyber breach.
It's such an invasion of our privacy, and it felt, other than being able to speak with the investigator, we're kind of stuck.
Now all Diane and Michael Betts can do is wait and hope the $30,000 is somehow covered.
Todd, we reached out to Nova Scotia Power about this particular situation. In response, they say it encourages any customer who receives a letter from them to sign up for the free credit monitoring service that's being offered. Now, Nova Scotia's privacy commissioner is also looking into the breach and says it's in communication with the utility. Todd?
Okay, and we'll certainly be watching this. CTV's Hafsa Arif leading us off in the newsroom tonight. Thank you.
As the warm weather ushers in the start of festival season in Toronto, city officials are looking to cross the T on safety.
We got to step up our security game, so this continual explosion of Toronto soul continues to happen.
It was 1 month ago that an SUV drove into a crowd at the Lapu Lapu Day block party in Vancouver, killing 11 people. In December, a car drove into a Christmas market crowd in Germany, killing 6. 14 people died in a similar incident on New Year's Day in New Orleans. In the wake of those attacks, Toronto now focused on stepping up street festival safety here at home.
No matter what is happening out there globally, this city has to be about having fun when the sun is out.
The city today announcing it will boost funding for festival security, an additional $750,000 to help cover costs. The use of barriers to protect against hostile vehicles among the types of measures that will be employed.
The latest technology is an L-shaped hostile vehicle mitigation barrier, and it has a wheel at the back, and it will essentially stop any vehicle completely in its tracks. It'll raise the vehicle up, the wheels won't touch the ground anymore, the vehicle will stop right there.
A lot of people are looking to rent those things, and they are expensive.
The mayor insists that Toronto's festival season will carry on.
We come together to celebrate each other, and by gosh, if we have to curtail our activities because of fear, absolutely not.
Planning for a safe summer ahead.
And city officials say that every event is different with a different risk profile, and they will each have their own individual security plan prepared in consultation with Toronto Police. Reporting live, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan, over to you.
What the provincial government calls sexually graphic and disturbing images from several books at Calgary Public School libraries. They have been available to elementary school children and high school students. The CPE has since removed them.
This is not a question of banning specific books or specific titles.
But 4 specific titles were singled out after the minister was approached by a group of concerned parents. Illustrated novels titled Gender Queer, Fun Home, Blankets, and Flamer have won some awards. They depict oral sex, molestation, profanity, and other sexual acts. But this is not a book ban, according to the province. It's now surveying Albertans about what they think.
Provincial government does not have the authority to remove individual books, nor am I suggesting that we have that authority here today.
But one student advocacy group says these guidelines the province is ushering in is moving towards a slippery slope.
We feel that this government is really intent on digging into this culture wars. So ultimately, this is about setting the stage for book bans, in our view. This is about restricting access and censorship to literary content.
The Alberta Teachers Association is not against removing some books from school libraries, but wants a more transparent process.
When we start pulling books from shelves, where does it end? It's a slippery slope that we get on, and I'm worried that we're going to get into a myriad of book challenges.
The province says 57 schools in Calgary and Edmonton had these books but would not name them. The ATA says it wants the province to fund teacher librarians while also engaging with students and families, including in the LGBTQ community.
Just reading a book all the time wasn't great for some of my students. The graphic novel was a way for them to engage with the text in a way that was meaningful to them.
The Alberta Parents Union says it pushes for parental choice, adding it's unclear how these books were allowed in schools in the first place.
It's not about one book being on the shelf or off the shelf. It's about the process that lets these things happen.
No support. First Nations leaders are ramping up opposition to Premier Eby's government and its controversial Bills 14 and 15. Legislation aimed at fast-tracking resource and infrastructure projects.
Right now, when it comes to Bill 14 and 15, Mr. Eby is a snake oil salesman.
The bills have come under fire from the opposition, municipalities, and Indigenous leaders, citing expedited environmental approvals, excessive cabinet power, and a lack of consultation specifically with First Nations.
Just don't accept the Premier's excuses for this legislation.
Did not engage in the development of Bill 15 with the First Nations Leadership Council, as we should have. We've committed to engage in the development of the regulations with them if they choose to do that.
Despite the pushback, Eby says the bills are going ahead when voted on this Wednesday during the last week of this session.
My commitment to the First Nations Leadership Council is to work with them to demonstrate through this government's actions that we're quite serious, that we mean to use these tools to speed things up in partnership with nations.
Chief Don Tom is not impressed, citing this as a seminal moment in First Nations relations with this government.
The era of trust between the Premier Eby and First Nations chiefs is over. So the era of trust is over, and now it's based on results.
First Nations leadership promises court challenges to these laws, and Tom says he's heard from NDP MLAs not happy they're going ahead.
I'm hearing dissension amongst the party, though, that there are some within the cabinet and within the caucus.
NDP MLA Joan Phillip, herself Indigenous and married to Grand Chief Stuart Phillip, the head of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, who opposes the bills, acknowledges she's in a tough spot but supports the legislation, and her marriage is strong enough to endure.
Married for 40 years, going on 41 years, and we've known each other longer, so I think we'll weather this.
What's less clear, the strength of the relationship between the Premier and First Nations leaders going forward.
Criminal gangs are suspected of operating complex networks of drones that deliver drugs and cell phones inside provincial jails and federal penitentiaries. At the Rivière-des-Prairies Detention Center, authorities installed specially designed screens that prevents prisoners from receiving their deliveries.
L'objectif, c'est d'éloigner les livraisons de drones des fenêtres.
These screens keep the drones further away from the inmates' windows, he says. Authorities are also installing new body scanners in all provincial detention centers.
Évidemment, ça nous permet d'aller pousser plus loin en matière.
They allow us to see if anything is hidden in body cavities, she explains. Some cell phones available on the market are extremely small and are easy to hide, but once behind bars, they become powerful tools for gangs who continue their criminal activities. The new security measures are part of a $38 million package to further secure provincial jails.
So we're going to install a self-support fence in a couple of our prisons, window grills. We will install body scan in all over our detention facilities over March 2027.
Correctional services say that their best tool will be a new device that blocks cell communications. It makes the drones inoperable and also makes it harder for detainees to connect with the outside world. The federal government recently authorized their use in provincial jails, but the technology needs to be fine-tuned first.
We had the authorization from the federal only 2 months ago to test different technology coming from the RCMP in one of our detention. So it will take a couple of weeks, couple of months.
Right now, correctional agents say more resources and additional hirings would have even more impact on controlling contraband behind bars. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
Karn Singh was more than a friend. He was a little brother to me.
Like other friends and family of Karn Singh, Karamjit Singh says it's difficult to sum up what his life meant to them. Karn was in his third year of architecture at the University of Manitoba and was heavily involved in the Sikh student community.
He was a man with great ambitions. His loss is something that cannot be filled. We're devastated, like we don't have no words.
Singh's friends say he was a role model for other Sikh students.
We all were very inspired by his work because he was excelling in all parts of his life. He was giving so much time to his career, his studies.
His mother, Jasveer Galot, is still in shock from his passing. On May 4th, Singh slipped on the rocks at Pinawa Dam and fell into the water. RCMP recovered his body the next day.
I have no words to explain my pain because we lost my child.
Galot says she's angry that the RCMP did not search for her son immediately after he fell in.
They said we cannot do anything because they are not trained to go underwater. I said, if you are not trained, then why are you here?
According to an RCMP press release, officers did a shoreline and area search and did not find Singh.
They said after the 3 hours, no one can survive underwater. On the same time, you can imagine if you are listening these words for your child, it's very painful.
Manitoba RCMP told CTV News that detachment members do not have underwater recovery training, and the single unit here in Manitoba responded the next morning as planned. Searches of this nature are high risk for officers and cannot be performed at night for their safety. Now, Galot wants to know why nothing more was done to try and find her son alive. She only has her memories to cherish.
6 to 11 years, he got the 24 medals in the roller skating. Even he was a brilliant student in the school time. He was a state level player in the roller skating. He was a good painter.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
After visiting family at the Regina General Hospital last week, Mohammed Cameron and his wife picked up a late-night dinner.
They were at the hospital the whole time. They didn't eat, so after that, 12 a.m., they ate food, and after that, my dad kind of felt heavy, so he's like, I'm going to go on a walk.
Mohammed Ayan decided to join his father on a walk around the Coronation Park neighborhood just after midnight on Wednesday. He says his dad got a 2-minute head start.
I grab my jacket, and I go outside. I see my dad's not there in the alley, so I, just go on the usual route, like where we go through.
A few steps down the street, Mohammed Ayan was shocked to find his father, who appeared to have been brutally attacked.
I go to Shepherd Street, and I see my dad, laying on the ground in the middle of the road. So when I see him there, I first thought he's just joking around or something. I go close to him. I see he's unconscious. He's severely injured. He wasn't even moving at all. Nothing.
Mohammed Ayan says after being taken to the hospital by a family friend, doctors treated Cameron for multiple injuries, including emergency surgery for a critical wound to his stomach.
Doctors already said you go to bed rest for 5 months, so it's too hard time We friend with some arrangement.
Being the sole provider for his family, Cameron's son says it has caused a heavy amount of stress for them.
He's a bit better. He is still he has a lot of bruises on his head. His shoulder is swelling, and he has a fracture on his above his eyebrow. Inshallah, he will get better. I hope so.
In a statement to CTV News, Regina police confirmed they were called to the hospital Thursday morning after a man was brought in with serious injuries, adding that the investigation is ongoing. They're asking the public to come forward with any additional information. In the meantime, Cameron's family is praying for a speedy recovery. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.